Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me for Faithful Fridays. What a blessing it is to be alive and well and here to join you on this Faithful Fridays. If you're in the Midwest, we're probably trending right around 70s as a high today, and Saturday and Sunday, we're trending in the 80s. So if this is the weather you've been looking for. Get out, enjoy yourself, do something that your future self will thank you for. But again, just wanted to get on and talk for a few minutes about my week and just how faithful God was. I look forward to Fridays. I look forward to this day of being able to give my testimony of how I made it through. This week for me was all about taking hold of wisdom. You know, literally tapping into wisdom and learning to absorb. I had to remind myself that we live in a world that is filled with potential and unlimited possibilities. I realized that the decisions that I make on today, they can alter the realities of my tomorrow. I know that with God, all things are possible. And so that is hope, just knowing that with God, all things are possible. Considering our next, we have to always consider our next. You know that we live in a world with broken people. It's full of broken people. But isn't it comforting to know that God isn't broken? He's never caught off guard. He's never taken by surprise or shocked by what happens next. He can take our worst and he can make it our best, and add his best. And for that, I'm just grateful. We have to make sure that we make a choice to stay with him and that we keep following him through it all, the good and the bad. By the end of Monday for me, because Mondays are just that day people don't want to get back into the groove of things. But I just had to thank God for leading me through difficult situations and circumstances. When we realize that God owns it all, we can commit to being grateful and generous and faithful to those things that he's called us to steward. By the time Tuesday had got here, I was just kind of up and down, had agreed to volunteer. And so do the tests that were being thrown my way, the tests were, being tossed left and right. And although it wasn't easy, some of the tests that I was having to deal with, it was drawing me closer to God. It really was. Again, because I knew that it was only a test, I refused to get stressed about any of it. I just prayed, and I continue to pray. We have to declare victory over every challenge that we're facing in life. And it's all about just parking your mind in the right spot when life starts to hit you, because it will, and it'll try to get the best of you sometime. We have to park our mind in the right spot because it's easy to park our mind in a bad spot and dwell there and rehash things. And hope that wish that things were different. To dwell on things that keep us in hard spots, bad parking spots, it only deepens how we react emotionally. And we have to remember, we have to respond in the opposite manner. We've been talking about that for weeks. Why? Because the devil has no defense for that reaction. He's looking for you to react the way that you normally react. Again, on Tuesday, I had gotten a chance to volunteer with Habitat for Humanity. And on this day, walking away from that situation, I was just grateful. I had signed up to do siding, and as I'm driving to the site, I'm like, I don't know anything about siding, don't know how to put on siding. I just see the siding on the side of my house, and I know that it happened. But just after walking away and hearing the individual that's getting the Habitat for Humanity home story and how grateful how he was that God had delivered him from some things and he was starting to see life in such a different manner, my heart was just filled. I walked away like, you just don't know how blessed you are. You have people that are less fortunate and they're happy about where God has them at in life right now. And although it may have took some steps and a different path to get it right, they're on the path to get it right. And they're out here shining their light, being transparent so that other people can be transformed. For me, I was just overjoyed, overwhelmed, and I was happy that I did it. By the time Wednesday got here, it was all about hope. And how do you remain hopeful in harsh times? Because we all ask ourselves when you're going through something, how do I remain hopeful in this situation? How do I get through this? Well, I'll tell you, one is by watching. Next is by waiting and then praying. Again, I told you when some tests start getting tossed my way, I just started praying. I refused to move into a arena of being stressed out. God hears our cries. He does. And even when circumstances become overwhelming, it's in these moments that we cling to and act in response to our hope in God. is our strategy. The only strategy that I know has worked for me when I'm weathering some storms. So again, I'm asking you, what has helped you to maintain hope in harsh times? How are you getting through those moments? Have you watched? Have you waited? Have you prayed? Have you remembered how God has gotten you through some of these same tests, carried you over some of these same mountains before? You have to declare victory over every challenge because it's already won. It's already won. Sometimes we just have to learn to pause, disconnect, and reflect. We have to realize that even when it's hard to pause and take that extra time, because life is throwing all of these extenuating circumstances at you. What's the worst that's going to happen? What's going to happen if you don't? You're going to wear yourself out trying to figure it all out on your own. You have to find some wise people that can help you. And how do you know? You know because of discernment and the fruit that they bear. That's how you know. The fruit that they bear, and being discerning of who you're connecting with to help you through some of those trying times in your life. Next, just drop the agenda. Cleanse your heart of your own agenda. Break down every barrier in your life that's going to stop you from hearing and seeing clearly. Bring down everything that's misaligned into divine alignment so that your words and actions may operate in sync. You can't speak positive but act negative. And you can't act negative and think you're going to get positive results. Be grateful when your purpose and your assignments align. I know I am. Ask God to bring people into your life that you can learn from and you can gain wisdom from it. Then in return, you can take that wisdom and pass it along to others. In closing this week, I just want you to remember living in fear of what might happen, what could take place. Sometimes it causes more stress and anxiety than actually facing what you actually fear. Last but not least, know that you're going to face some of your greatest challenges. You're going to face some discouraging situations and some insurmountable problems. But just know that if God brought you to it, He's going to bring you through it. He will. So don't give up hope. Keep hope alive. And so, again, I just want to jump on for a few minutes today. Again, if you're in the Midwest, it's going to be an absolute beautiful day. It's the disconnect for most. Do something that your future self will thank you for, even if it's just resting. I know as for me, I've got a jam-packed weekend, and I am so glad about it. I'm glad that it's Friday. I'm glad that God was able to see me through and that I could see His faithfulness in it all. But you know the drill. I will be back on next week. But until then, make sure you shine your light. I don't care where you are. Shine your light. Remember, your transparency is leading to others being transformed. You know the drill. I'll see you soon.